Out of Heroes Hearth, this is Kyle Fergusson, and I'm sitting down today with Lupus's Junkrat. This is from Baby Makers versus Baby Diamond Hands, a baby off, in the Storm Division for Nexus Gaming Series. This is Game 4, and the Junkrat was last pick. Thanks for joining me, Lupus.
Thanks for having me.
So you were originally Hanzo here, and then very last pick. Got to see the entire enemy team. You switched off onto Junkrat. Why did that happen?
The other team decided to pull out a double support. They just kind of want to run it down a lane with their draft that they chose. And Junkrat offers probably the best anti-siege in the entire game, just with his base kit.
Anti-siege, so like Vala poking away with impunity, you'd be able to affect that?
As long as anti-siege is usually just heroes that they can deal with the minion wave really well, so the other team never really gets to push with their wave.
Oh, ooh, nice bomb.
Thank you.
So you're looking at the enemy team, because double support, they're gonna have this long-lasting effect. We got a Vala over there, and the Vala's even gonna do auto attack build here. So you know that once they start walking up, they're going to want to stay there for an extended period of time. Minions are how they stay there, and clearing them quickly gives you that edge.
Yeah, and also his W offers as we almost saw with Azaria, a lot of kill threat, just being able to launch people over walls. Garrosh as well. Garrosh, Junkrat work together very well. You can throw people into traps, which just makes the boop for Junkrat even more free.
Oh my. That sounds, well, a practice pre-planned is something that probably takes some work.
Yeah, well, this is the first time I've played with Cubico in a long time. He was actually subbing in for us in this series, which was a big help to us.
Why are you all top lane? Isn't bottom lane traditionally the four-man battle it out lane?
We kind of have to just answer to wherever they go. They get to dictate where they're going to try and push, and it's kind of just our responsibility, mostly my hero, to respond to that. And we don't push harder than they do because Hanzo doesn't do a whole lot of building damage, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to send our four-man bottom to push against just their blaze.
Interesting. Why? So Hanzo has a pretty beefy auto attack. Why is it considered he doesn't have the building damage?
It's just really slow.
Oh, okay.
So the average damage that he's doing is not... It comes out pretty quick because his auto does a lot of damage. It's not fast enough to be considered quick siege.
So like if you're watching the mini-map and you see Hanzo connect on the building, the second he connects, high damage, and then it's 5 seconds go by and he actually hasn't done more than a normal hero would in that case.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got some talents building up, but I do want to talk about general philosophies here. We've definitely seen some concussion mines that are being used pretty fluidly. Like you throw them out because you're expecting something to happen by the time the mine arms, but your steel traps, those are being placed in very precise locations. How do you know where to place them? Did you memorize them? Is there a guide online that has circles, in a MS Paint document?
I'm not sure about the guide online. I'm mostly just using it to secure my self-vision and to keep an area of safety where the other team isn't allowed to easily walk up and punish my team for wherever we're standing.
So like in this instance here, we had the Immortal. Obviously, if the team was going to run at you quickly, they were going to walk right through that trap you created. Are you ever placing them below you, assuming that your team would take advantage of the main approach and you're more worried about a side approach? Like, how do you judge what gets what?
It's kind of a situation by situation basis.
Nice bomb.
Right there. Thank you. That's the kill threat I was talking about with the W. Especially the hero that wants to just stand still like that, like the Zarya. Just take those all day long. Back to the traps. Just kind of use them where... Just kind of get a feeling, eventually, of where the enemy is most likely going to come at you from. And you can play some where they're pretty close to you. I actually think the last one I threw there on the left side was pretty bad, especially since the other team was backing off. I should have had it in the spot where it is now, much earlier than I did.
Cool. I was prepared to like 3D chest that thought, like, whoa, what's it doing bottom lane? Like, is Gareth gonna throw into it? Okay.
Just a misplay on my part right there.
Cool. So here you saw, Muradin likely in that bush. You're gonna guard this bush, and possibly if he decides to change and stay there, it's now guarded, and it worked for that incoming attack. Almost happened.
Yeah, I think Cubico was supposed to throw him into the bush there, into that trap. And he even mentioned it in voice chat, I remember, during the match. But, first time playing with Cubico in a while, so not a big deal.
So we've got some talents building up now, and I think... What is Junkrat established at this point, or are there actual wiggle room in the build?
I personally not a huge fan of the Q build. I think the trap build is the best on average. There's some heroes that deal with it really well, like Johanna can just D and eat it, but then she's burning her trait cooldown, so it's not always a bad trade-off. A new Brack Beetles is a little bit annoying, especially now that you don't get the ignore like PvE talent at 7 anymore. They moved it to 13.
Oh.
So it competes with the double traps. So a new Brack is a little bit better into it now.
Oh, that's interesting. So did you feel like that balance change-up was pretty solid, pretty deep thought?
I think it was definitely a healthy change for the state of the hero. He was just really obnoxious to play against. He still is, but as you can see, Muradin not enjoying his time playing against Junkrat.
Yeah, gross. I mean, in that kind of way, Junkrat almost seems like a really good resume builder if you want to get involved in NGS. Like, it's just a really annoying hero nobody wants to deal with.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of like a Medivh.
Yeah, and then, in Wildheart, my main purpose for being selected was to fill in for Zergling, who's the flex player. So this would fall under the categories of heroes that would be expected for me to play. So I've worked on it a pretty good amount.
Got so much range. You have such an influence on the battlefield here. So level 1, any other choice but extra wound timers? This is the one I see all the time.
Yeah, it's just the last grenade just does so much damage. It's really hard to pass it up. The only other one I think that competes kind of would be picking blow it up if you're going like full W build, which is a decent strategy on a map like Dragonshire where Junkrat is the bot anchor point. I know this is BOE, so it doesn't apply as much, but Dragonshire typically you'll play a bottom anchor hero, and Junkrat is a good one for that as well.
Is he Battlefield of Eternity specific here, or is it merely what you guys saw on the enemy side that made the Junkrat happen?
It was what we saw on the other side, because I think he's still okay on this map. He doesn't offer a lot of burn though, but he does offer the area control, which is really useful when you need to establish that perimeter around the Immortal, both for your team to burn it or for your team to defend.
So much damage and so much range. So you mentioned Dragonshire there briefly. I'm aware of the Alterac Pass kind of Junkrat poking the objective, never ever get to channel. Is there anything on Dragonshire you're mentioning?
A lot of the times teams will try and everybody goes for the bot prio on Dragonshire, but with that W build on the Junkrat, it's just so annoying to push into because you get the W4 for the cooldown reduction when you hit an enemy, and then the 7 it slows by 40% after they get launched, and it's just a nightmare. Like if they go over the wall ever, they're just gone most of the time unless they're a teleporting hero.
But this is definitely our main build we see the most, which is the steel trap reinforced to kind of zone control, protect yourself as well as combo with others.
Definitely. If there's not an answer for the traps are just going to get value no matter what. So it's generally just the best one to go.
So not that I want you to, counter yourself here, but what is the counterplay to traps right now outside of like Johanna? I mean, spending a whole iron skin to deal with a trap just doesn't seem viable.
Lucio, decent counter, and just super low cooldown cleanse on.
Oh.
If you get you can pull the trap. Even once there's two of them, you can pull them close together and then get them both with one high five. Or, you know, Lucio gets unstoppable himself, so if there's two, you can high five the tank eats one, the Lucio eats the other, and then no more traps.
Interesting. Is that it though? Just a Lucio?
I mean, any cleanse kind of deals with it, as long as it's a lower cooldown one. Lunara's is a pretty good one as well. It gives the relentless effect afterwards on her 13, so the traps, the CC duration doesn't last as long as it's supposed to.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know Lunara's worked for that one. That's solid.
Yeah, Lunara's cleanses everything. It's really, really powerful.
Wouldn't Malfurions get rid of the root but not the silence?
I believe his does not remove silences, so you would be right on that one.
Which would be a kind of a weird one. That just sounds miserable, so maybe maybe not the hero to be dealing with that. So the idea of kind of the talent build here then seems to be to take the weaknesses of the steel trap and slowly remove them.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you got the
and
chattering
having
teeth
more of them as well.
Chases people. You're putting them in bushes here so you can control the bushes, but also so they're not seen as they make their way towards their target eventually, so they surprise someone like that Stukov.
Yeah, I mean, they'll walk out of the bush with the chattering teeth as well. They'll walk out on their own, but still, it's better to have them know where they are later than, you know, have them walk in already preemptively knowing where the trap is.
Then you got your Sticky Wicket. Enemy heroes who are hit by Steel Trap are silenced for 2 seconds. Is that
it just keeps Murden from jumping out of them.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And then, so you got the root for 2 seconds, so the silence is as long as the root. Here you're using the Rip Tire, which is giving you a lot of damage very quickly in these teamfights. 75-second cooldown feels like it's always up. Do you do anything special with it?
So just make sure that, because you get the jump ability on it, just make sure you jump it before, like when you're driving it in, because it does give it like a little burst of move speed when you're driving it. So make sure you get it right over people, because the closer they are to the center, the more damage you take. So if you can jump it right on somebody, they're going to take max damage. Obviously I didn't do it in that most recent one because there was 5 heroes in the bunker, so I just blew it up. But
so it's progressive on a radius. It's not like there's an inner zone and an outer zone. It's just the closer, the better.
To my understanding, it is a progressive damage fall off.
And the jump is like a bit of acceleration, like Lunara, the way she moves, not necessarily that you are accelerating the tire faster overall.
I don't believe it mentions that it makes it faster, but it definitely does give it like that progress forward.
Yeah, that little kind of nudge that'll get it right over your target.
Yep.
That's a cool way to think of it. Any viability in Rocket Ride?
You'd have to ask CPX on that one. He's a big fan. But I personally don't pick Rocket Ride that much. I think Rip Tire is just better. And if you're positioning correctly, you're pretty much always in a spot of safety anyways. And also Rocket Ride removes you from the fight temporarily, which means you're not doing damage.
Is there like because then you spawn back at the hall, so like a split soaking Junkrat with emergency backing capability?
You could kind of do something like that, but if you're going to do that, just pick Ripper Air at 13, and it launches you like 2 screens away anyways. And it's kind of the same thing.
And actually be alive and, you know, join your team and participate in the actual game. Fair. Gotta trap them all, reduce steel traps cooldown by 5 seconds, and increase the maximum number of active traps to 2. So more control, but earlier we saw you put a trap in, you know, the main approach of the enemy. Does your second trap have any other locations you're thinking about, or just reinforcing safety?
You can just put it on an alternate approach, just a less likely one. Or if they're gonna walk the same, there's actually a area where it doesn't let you stack them super close together. They can walk towards each other to get closer if they're getting like drawn by enemy heroes. But right here, I'm just kind of obviously that one so that they can't have that bush. Like I want to be able to establish that I want to claim the space for my team, and then the other one is just right now it's just serving as vision on our immortal. So we see that blaze there because of the trap, and we see the Vala because of the trap as well.
Oh wow, the traps give a lot of sight.
Yeah, it's not bad for just a thing on the ground. This one as well, it's just going to be controlling more space. That one could be a little further forward, like in the middle, but I didn't have vision exactly of where I wanted, so I just kind of threw it out there.
Sure, this is one of these sort of tethered abilities like Tyrael's sword where it casts no matter where you're currently standing, so you weren't far enough forward to get it far enough out, and that would have been unsafe for you to step up at that point. We're watching your camera here too, so for the past, I don't know, 30 seconds, you've just been firing off your own screen, not really looking where the grenades are going.
Yeah, I'm just shooting it at their immortal. They're just hanging out. The other they have to start the fights. They can't outpoke us. So if we just don't ever give them a fight, we can just do stuff like this the entire game. You can see Deadwish on the left side of my screen there a little bit. He's throwing his W's in there.
Yeah.
Getting that Hanzo damage. So even though we lost people, we're able to get the halftime right here.
Now, no more trap talents, I believe. Yeah, no secret level 20 talent. So level 16, there's a choice to make, and I see all these picked regularly. Which one do you prefer?
I think the endless nades is just always the best. Increases your poke damage. Even when you're in fights, it's giving you huge CDR. It's like right here, I'm just making sure I'm trying to get procs and extra heroes just to reduce my cooldown. I didn't really get any there, which sets my stall back a little, my immortal poke out a little bit. But here you can see I'm already gonna reload it here in 1 second. I already have my 400 grenades again.
Oh wow.
I actually messed that up a little bit. I overestimated how much damage Vala could do to me there. So I blew it up a little early. I should have killed that Zarya.
There's team comms probably going on how to target, but you're just splashing all over the place. Are you just hitting in a cone, or are you actually trying to auto attack, hit a particular hero, fire over the top of others?
If I can auto, I'll auto, but the primary damage is going to be on my Qs in fights like that. If I can step up to hit, I will definitely do so. And it's fairly safe this game with just the two sources of CC from the Blaze and the Mura. So as long as I see those are down, I'm pretty safe to do whatever I want. I just have to respect the amount of damage Vala can do to me.
Well, as you guys delete the Vala and move on for victory here, level 20 you had Cannonball. Any level 20 viable talents that you might think about?
Cannonball as well as the Riptire 20 are both very good. Cannonball is my preference. It gives you a larger radius to get the cooldown reduction for your 16, so you just get even more Qs. And then Riptire 20 is really good for like holding areas, because you need to hit 3 people to fully reset your ult. And if you're fully resetting your Riptire, that seems like winning in my book.
Fair enough. So if people were interested in learning Junkrat from the ground up, haven't played him, watch this replay, want to take it into quick match, is there a recommended build you would start with? Is this that build?
This is definitely the one I would recommend. It does not require a ton of like extra thought processes going on. A lot of the talents are super intuitive. They kind of just run themselves. The traps will move on their own as long as you put them in a spot to get any amount of value. The Q1, you can think about it a little bit there's optimizations for wave clear and camp taking and stuff to make sure you get that max damage on everything, but that's something that you kind of just figure out by playing the character.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the rundown. Good luck in the Storm Division NGS season. And everybody watching here on the YouTube, there will be more Learn to Play content for Here's the Storm continuing on this channel throughout the upcoming NGS season and heading towards that CCL Season 4. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell while you're here.